Okay. I have my Fland loader, and I wanted to have quick attach for the bucket. I have a mower I want to put on there. Of course, I will need a hitch attachment so I could drag my trailers around. Many things. I even wanted to make a quick attach that I can actually attach my mini skid steer attachments to for different uses. So here's my Fland. Now, the original bucket had just ears welded onto the bucket, so it was just directly attached. I'll show pictures from before. So I wanted to have a quick attach for this unit. There's another gentleman who did the quick attach system, but he did the much larger SSQL or skid steer quick attach. Unit, which is much larger, which if you go based on size of the unit, this is a small machine. I mean, it only weighs about 2,000 pounds, so it's not very heavy, not very big. And apparently it's got like a 20 horsepower engine, so it's not very strong. So if you do a size comparison, this really fits the Dingo Style of quick attach, or the small, the mini quick attach system, which is on a couple of different types of units. So I decided I was going to make my own because there is one for sale out there, but it would still have to be modified anyway because the mounting structure is definitely different. I'll put a link in the video for where I found that too. But I decided to make my own quick attach kit. So actually, here's my bucket, and there's the quick attach on the bottom of that one. Now you can't see it, but I've got some supports on the very, very bottom because there's a gap at the bottom. Now I'll wind up flipping this over so you can see it. So here's what I came up with. I got it cleaned up because I'm getting ready to paint it. But I took the ears off of my bucket. When I cut those off, I was able to reuse them and put them on this. Now the spacing between this hole and that hole must be about 6 1/4 to 6.5 inches spacing. Mine right now is right at 6 inches. So I'll show a video of it being used, but if you don't have this spacing far enough apart, what happens is when you lower the arm to the ground and you have the top cylinder fully extended so it can tilt the bucket goes too far, or the pivot pins go too far past center on the arms, and then the bucket locks. I need to have a bumper on there to stop it from going too far. And then when you go to raise the arm up again, it'll pull it the other way. And if you can see where this is bent and curved, that's part of the reason. Not only the fact that it's made with thin metal and was going to bend anyway, but when you go to raise up the arms, that upper arm would pull on the top because it's the pivot didn't come up above those two holes because of that geometry. So this spacing has got to be 6 1/4, 6.5 or more. Now, the more you have it spread apart, the less ability do you have to tilt, like all the way down? It won't tilt all the way down. You can, when you tilt it all the way back, it may not tilt all the way back either, because you remember you're spacing it, you're pushing it apart, which means you're pushing it out, which means the roll of the bucket is going to be up higher. You can adjust that, of course, by taking these holes and bringing them in to realign your bucket, but it's getting kind of complicated. Point is that these holes need to be 6 1/4, 6.5 inches apart. So the way I made this is I bought 4 of the quick attach mounts, because these are what you can really get, and they're like $40 to $60 a piece, depending on where you go and get them. I got mine from Temu, and I think I spent $45 each. So what I did is I took one of them, and basically I chopped the sides off, and I chopped the front off, and I cut about 3/8 of an inch off the top here, going all the way down. And what that did, you can see here the sides, I had to re-weld them on. And what that did is that allowed this piece to sit inside the other one. Here, I'll give me a second and I'll put it right together. Okay, so here we are. I've got it to where the mount is inside one of these pieces. So that way it sits right inside. I have some pins. Which lock into place. Obviously, this piece and this piece, this edge and that top edge, or bottom edge on this one, top edge on that one, when they meet, you don't want this pin to come out. Because that'll release and lock it. Anyway, you'll notice there's a little bit of a gap here, because when I re-welded this piece back on to this one, I had to have it at more of an angle. And the reason for that is that when this piece rolls out of the socket, that gap will close. So the way I spaced that out is I got a piece of 1-inch rolled tube, and I laid it in there so that when this piece laid on there, these two pieces touched to keep the spacing I could, and then, welded it that way. And that allows for that motion to happen. Also, I did raise this up as high as I could put it for what I was doing. So I notched out the plates. And then when I welded them on, I made sure that they had a really beefy weld on them. Now, it's hard to get in there, but at least I was able to get some weld on the inside on all 4 corners. So there's a gap there I couldn't quite get to, but I think this is more than strong enough. I also used some angle iron pieces, which helps with rigidity for this whole area, where I got my 3/4 rigid pipe I'm using for my pins. I put a nut right here and slid it so I can actually have a hook for the return spring for the pin. I'll show you that in a minute. And then finally, because I talked about that pin spacing there, in order to keep this unit from locking inward and not being able to release, I got myself an 1.5 inch long piece of tube that lines up with the arms, and I'll show you in the video, and it stops the bucket from going all the way too far. You see I've got these stops to hit so it doesn't tilt so far back that it locks. It's a very, very slight amount of pin tension on the eyes, because that is a little bit of a stress for the eyes, I admit. If I could make this a little bit, if I could have made that a little bit wider, that would have really solved this part. And if I could have had these on springs instead, if I could have made this a heavy-duty spring, that would be much better, because then you could actually have that little bit of give and have it bounce back so that when you go to raise the bucket again, this will automatically tilt out. Anyway, let me show you the action there. Pull this up. Anyway, so now I can buy any quick attach mounting socket, and I can put it on anything I want. Brush mower. I got a DR brush mower that I would like to actually take and figure out a way to mount it on the front so that I could actually have like a big brush mower on the front, because I've got some pretty heavily thick overrun brush areas I can't wait to deal with. But anyway, so that, there's all kinds of attachments I can put on the front. The other thing I'm going to do, like one guy did, is I need to have some hydraulic auxiliary function on the front, which I saw a guy who actually hooked one up so I could actually use different things like a grapple. I'd like to have a grapple because I've got plenty of logs in the area that need to be moved, different stumps, stuff like that. So I'd like to have a grapple. Forks. I actually made a set of forks one day, but they were kind of cheesy. So I'd like to use one of these and have a set of pallet forks. Be great. I've got a claw down here, and then I've got a rake over there, a steel rake over there, which I can use. And if I could, actually, maybe I could make that my grapple, because I think that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, so now I'm going to paint this, because I just had to, I got a little bit of rust on it. I was taking care of the rust. So anyway, so now I'm going to paint it, make it look fresh and pretty, and then I'm going to remount it on the unit, and I'll show it in action when I'm done.